I kicked out one of my bridesmaids for showing up in the wrong dress. My wedding was back on Sunday, December 25th, and I'm still getting major backlash from this, so I want to know if this was a jerk move on my part. In the country I live in, it's currently winter, and we get a fair amount of snow, so my wedding was a winter-themed wedding. The color theme was forest green and gold. My dress was obviously white, and I specifically chose the color of my bridesmaids' dresses to be forest green as well. My maid of honor's dress was black, and everyone had to wear gold accessories. I have this friend that I asked to be one of my bridesmaids. We'll call her Emma. When we went dress shopping and I told them the color theme I was going for, Emma immediately expressed that she thought forest green was a terrible choice. She said that forest green is not a flattering color, and thought I should choose something different and more girly. I said no because my wedding was winter themed and I thought the color would be perfect with the winter theme. She suggested a pink, blue or red. I said no, but I thanked her for giving an opinion. She found out my maid of honor's dress was black and asked if she could wear black too. I said no, only my maid of honor is wearing black. I paid for all the dresses. Fast forward to wedding day, everyone's getting their hair and makeup done and Emma shows up 30 minutes late holding a bag that looked like it had a dress inside. I asked her what this was for. She told me it was for later on at the reception if she got uncomfortable and wanted to change after pictures. I was like okay cool, because I really didn't care. Fast forward, we're all dressed and walking down the stairs because the ceremony is beginning in 20 minutes and we were going to take some pictures before. Emma is the last person to come down and she's wearing a black dress. At the time I was preoccupied taking pictures with my parents, but my maid of honor came over to me and made me aware of the situation. I confronted Emma about her dress and asked her what was going on. She said she hates her bridesmaid dress and the color is so ugly, it makes her look gross, so she's wearing black. I told her please go back and change. She refused and started walking away from me. I said I'm going to ask her one more time and if she doesn't oblige I'm calling security and kicking her out. I don't care. She began yelling at me to telling me how I'm being inconsiderate, so I called security. She started making a big scene yelling saying that I can't force her to wear anything and that I'm a horrible, inconsiderate friend. Ever since the wedding, Emma has been blowing up my phone with texts saying some really nasty things and asking me for the money back she spent on the black dress since it was a waste and she didn't get to wear it. I had to block her number. Some of my other bridesmaids have been saying that it was a little harsh kicking her out and embarrassing her like that and that maybe I should give her the money back. So am I wrong for kicking her out? Entitled sister-in-law stole my dog, so I got her arrested on her wedding day. I, 24-year-old female, and my husband, 24-year-old male, have 3 dogs. I rescued them from a puppy mill that was recently shut down. They were all in horrible condition and had numerous medical issues. They are very friendly dogs and have adjusted to their new lives very well. My now sister-in-law Amy has met them a few times before the events occurred. Amy said she wanted them to be the ring bearer and flower girls for her wedding. Now, Amy and I don't get along at all. She has said numerous hurtful and cruel things about me to my family and really anybody who will listen. I am not even invited to the wedding as I would ruin the vibe. I told her she would not be using my dogs for her wedding for multiple reasons, one reason being I'm not even invited. And they were all having surgery a few days prior. She was not happy about being told no. Now, to the event that happened a couple weeks ago. All of my dogs had their surgeries on Thursday. This wedding was on a Sunday in the evening. My husband and I left the house to go run some errands Sunday morning and the dogs were home asleep. I get a notification on my phone about motion at my back door. I check it and it is Amy breaking into my house. I started panicking and telling my husband we need to leave now and go back to the house. I show him the video and he agrees. I start calling my brother and demanding for him to get his wife out of my house. And if she leaves with my dogs, I will be calling the police. He hung up on me. I got home and all of my dogs are gone. And their cones were left in their crates. I called the police for theft and breaking and entering. Police arrived and I showed them the video of her getting into our house and leaving with the dogs. I told them where the venue was as I had seen a copy of the invitation from a friend. The police made it to the venue and were able to locate all of my dogs she had stolen. One had opened her stitches and was bleeding from the wound. My husband rushed her to an emergency vet to get the stitches closed. Amy was arrested in the middle of getting ready for her wedding and has been charged with a Class 1 felony and a few misdemeanors. Now everybody is saying I ruined the wedding and I overreacted to the entire situation. I am being told that I need to pay them back for the whole wedding since it never happened. I am refusing to pay anybody back as well as drop the charges. Am I the jerk? My family who abandoned me is becoming homeless. I refuse to help them now that I'm wealthy. I am my mother's oldest biological child. When I was 6 years old my father passed away and she remarried my stepdad when I was 8 years old. When I turned 9, I was sent away to live with my father's sister who lived states away because her husband didn't want me to live there anymore. They used to pay my aunt some money to watch me, but when I turned 14 years old, that all stopped. My aunt and uncle worked low-paying jobs and had 2 of their own children, so they couldn't afford the extra expense of having me around without that financial help. Despite that, they let me stay and continued to treat me like one of their own. I loved them. I very rarely saw my mom. I think I saw her maybe 5 times between the ages of 9 and 18. She never even called me. She went on to have 3 more children. A son who's 19 now, a daughter who's 18, and a son who's 16 with my stepdad. Growing up, I used to talk to my siblings and parents on social media to see what their lives were like, and it was the polar opposite to mine. They regularly went on really expensive vacations, lived in a ginormous house, and owned all of the latest gadgets. I went to college and I got married at 23 years old. My mother and siblings have no idea that I'm married. I'm currently 28 and doing well financially. I own a house, we have several very profitable investments and work high-paying jobs. My cousins, a 30-year-old female and a 27-year-old female, and I all contribute to help my aunt and uncle to finally purchase their own home last year. Recently my mom showed up to my aunt's house begging for financial help. The story was my stepdad suffered from a gambling addiction a few years ago and gambled all of their savings, losing everything in the process. Now, with the Rona, he's lost his job and they can't afford to keep their house without any help. My aunt explained that she didn't have any money to help her, and when my mother demanded to know how she could afford her new house if she had no money, she explained what me and my cousins had done for her. My mom then asked for my number. When she called me and explained the situation, I told her I couldn't help. She kept begging me and claimed my siblings would be made homeless if I didn't help them. I told her, maybe you should get a job or sell some of this crap you have, or maybe you shouldn't have abandoned me when I was a child and I needed you. Where were you? I needed you. And now you need me? That's when I decided I knew exactly how to handle this. An eye for an eye. So what I did was,
entitled brother-in-law is trying to steal my deceased wife's inheritance after finding out I'm donating it to charity. Last year, my wife passed away at age 57 after battling cancer for a number of years. Prior to her passing, both of her parents passed away in 2017 and 2020. All of their possessions and money was left in a trust that was to be divided between my wife and her two siblings. They were all pretty much in agreement as to what everyone was getting from the inheritance, and what was sold and what was kept. This was great as we really needed the money to pay for my wife's care, and couldn't afford to have any fights with the family because of all the stress we were already dealing with. Sadly, my wife had passed not long after, and I received her inheritance. After the passing of my wife, her side of the family went radio silent. This was very out of character for them, but I just chalked it up to the mourning the loss of my wife in private. But that all stopped when my brother-in-law reached out to me, and basically said that the appropriately respectful amount of time had passed since my wife's death, and I needed to return what was left of her share of the inheritance to my brother and sister-in-law, since my wife and I had no children together. I responded very politely to my brother-in-law stating that my wife had left everything to me so I was fully entitled to it, as well as that I intended to give most of what was left to the charities my wife supported prior to her passing, and I want to donate to the hospital that greatly cared for her and did everything for my wife before her death. He got very upset and said that I was stealing family money and that I wasn't entitled to it because there is no proof that my wife wanted me to have the money. He accused me of throwing it all away to charities. Now my sister-in-law has also rushed out saying that as she has 3 children and a big mortgage, she needs the money more than some charity does. I'm sure the rest of the family is gonna come out of the woodworks and demand the money until I eventually just give in. So now I feel like I might be being a jerk by giving away what is left of my wife's inheritance instead of giving it to her siblings. Am I in the wrong? I told my girlfriend I'll keep honoring my best friend's dying wish even if it makes her uncomfortable. My late best friend and I knew each other since we were little. We were next door neighbors and played together every day. We even went to the same kindergarten, elementary school, middle and high school together. One day during our sophomore year, we started talking about how most of our classmates and friends had started dating. We obviously weren't okay with that. Me and her decided it was time to one-up on all of them by getting married. As a joke, I made a fake ring for her and she gave me her scrunchie. A few weeks later, she got into a really bad accident. She sustained multiple injuries and was in the ICU for over 2 months. The doctor informed her family that her survival chances are very slim. In the only time I talked to her before she passed, we made a promise that I will always visit her on our wedding anniversary, and to wear her scrunchie during the visit. A couple of years ago when I started dating my girlfriend, I told her about it and asked if she was okay with it. She commented about how sweet and nice the tradition was and told me she was perfectly fine with it. Today was the 10th anniversary and I called in to take a day off from work. Before my girlfriend went to work, she told me it's time to put this tradition to rest and just move on, because it was starting to get really pathetic that I still wear a deceased girl's scrunchie to celebrate a fake marriage that we had 10 years ago. I've never expected such a thing from my girlfriend. I was furious at her comments because she wasn't just a girl who passed away, she was my best friend and like a sister to me. We did everything together growing up. And it seems like my girlfriend doesn't even care how I feel. I told my girlfriend a long time ago that we never had a romantic relationship and that our wedding was just a joke between us. It's not like I talk about her or keep her photos around the house or anything similar. The only times I've talked about her to my girlfriend is when I asked her if she was okay with the tradition or if she asked me about her. I keep all of my emotions bottled up, and I miss her every day. When I told her that I'll keep honoring my best friend's dying wish, even if it made her uncomfortable, she left for work angry at me and hasn't came back home yet. So am I the jerk?
My sister wants to take back my child that I adopted from her, so I revealed I married her ex-boyfriend. I'm 36 and my sister Naomi is 29. When Naomi got pregnant when she was 18, she decided to give her baby up for adoption. I'm infertile and I knew I couldn't have kids, so when Naomi said she was giving her baby up for adoption, I decided to be her mom. Naomi went no contact 5 months after giving birth. Naomi got pregnant by her boyfriend, Terry. Their relationship was perfect, but after the birth of the child, Terry broke up with Naomi. But when Veronica, the baby, was 2, Terry messaged me on social media because he wanted to spend time with the baby. So we set up a time for us to meet. He bonded with his daughter and we fell in love with each other and that man is now my husband of 7 years. Naomi has no idea about this, and me and Terry vowed to keep it a secret because who knows how she would react that I married her ex-boyfriend. So going back to my sister. She called me yesterday. Although I was surprised at her call, I picked up. We made some small talk and then she said she had just gotten married a year back and both of them wanted children but couldn't because her husband was infertile but really wanted kids. She started demanding me to give back the baby I adopted from her. I was speechless for a few moments before replying that if she wants to meet my child as an aunt, she is more than welcome to, and we both can sit Veronica down and explain the reason for her absence, but she can't just ask me to give up my child. She says she'll sue me as she's the birth mother. I told her she was out of her mind. I then told her that I married Terry, her ex-boyfriend, and I wasn't gonna take Veronica from me and Terry. She exploded calling me names and saying that I stole her life. I got too emotional and hung up. Terry came home from work and after explaining to him what happened, he was beyond furious. I then got a call from my parents saying I was a jerk for telling Naomi she couldn't see her baby. I told them I never said that and I welcomed her to bond with Veronica. But they refused to listen and said I was being insensitive and harsh and flaunting my family. Terry said there's no way he was letting my sister have full custody and I agree. I legally adopted Veronica at birth. Terry adopted her too after we got married. Naomi never wanted kids and I feel the only reason why she wants Veronica now is because her husband wants kids.